What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Six Gaming Podcast. Filling in for your host, as always, it's Ron Klee, Shosan, without internet for the time being, and probably for the foreseeable future. Apparently, getting internet out to East Bumfuck, Minnesota is hard. It's not easy. But somebody that does have internet...
hard.
Oh, God. First thing you say, and you make me do this. What, Dan?
You're not going to be able to do this podcast because you're going to be too busy putting your head in your face in your hands.
Yeah, I'm going to be face palming the whole time. This is terrible. But yeah, somebody that does have internet, unfortunately, he does also happen to be awesome and illustrious today.
I'm awesome and illustrious, and no one else is here to be either of those things.
Exactly. So it falls onto you. And I'm Ron Klee, of course. And today we're going to start off with our favorite part of the show. Shosan's, he's missing this part of the show. I hope he's okay with us that we do this without him, because we're about to do the news. I really can't do it like he can.
No, there's no one can show like show.
No one can show like show. It's so disappointing when show's not here. But we do have a lot of news here, and of course we talked about G2A.com and Gearbox last week. And as expected, the story has continued this week with G2A firing back, declining to adhere to Gearbox's demands. And on top of it, saying that Gearbox doesn't know jack shit about us. And I don't know. It's kind of funny because Gearbox got into this with literally without knowing what they're about. So on one hand, G2A is right there, but G2A is just a shitty business.
They are definitely a shitty business. And I expect this to go on for a few more weeks.
Mm-hmm. I hope not. What was the one thing that one of the guys was saying? Something along the lines of that he had never even heard of G2A until last week. And
it's very Streisand effect.
And the CEO was not the guy who made this deal. Apparently that was down to Gearbox Publishing, which is a separate division of Gearbox Software. So I don't know, maybe there was some behind closed door things going on. Who knows? It's a whole silly ordeal. And it just puts G2A out there. They're still being jerks and everything. So whatever. I don't think we've heard the last of it. But speaking of bad business decisions,
Nintendo gonna Nintendo.
Yes, they are. The Nintendo, the what was it called? The
Classic.
The NES
Nintendo.
Classic. Yeah. So the NES Classic, the little handheld old Nintendo system that plays a whole bunch of games, can be hacked to play a whole bunch more games. They stopped publishing them. They stopped making them.
Yep. A console that many people wanted but couldn't get because they were out of stock.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. There are people who want to give them money to get the product, and Nintendo has said, we don't want your money. We're not going to make any more.
This sounds like a company that's about to go into a downward spiral into oblivion. It really does.
So they constantly keep making crazy decisions like this, and they constantly do well. The Switch has sold more than any other Nintendo console ever, apparently, or at least over year to date kind of thing. Here's the theory that most people are talking about. So you pay $60, you get a Nintendo Classic console, and you play like whatever it was, 100 games or whatever they put on it. Or you buy a Switch, or you have a Wii U, or you have a Wii, and then you pay $5 per NES game. So here's the caveat in my mind that I think that why it's stupid is I have a Wii. I don't have a Wii U. I'm not going to buy a Switch for a while. I wanted to buy a Nintendo Classic, but now I can't. And so the $60 that I was going to give Nintendo, I'm not going to give them a whole bunch of $5 increments to buy those games on Wii, because I would have done that already.
Yeah, the whole reason why the NES Classic is popular is because it looks like the old NES, just in miniature form.
Right.
Not because of the games on it.
Yeah, it's the controllers. It's the whole nostalgia of it.
Yeah, the nostalgic experience.
And so now they're getting rid of that. No, I mean, yeah, you can play it on the Switch, you can play it on the Wii U, but it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to. Now my wife actually has an NES somewhere at her parents' house. We'll probably go get that, but I want to give an NES controller, put it in my kid's hands, and be like, "Here, play Mario. Let's play Mario together." I get to be player number one because fuck you, you're a child.
Poor Ethan.
Yeah, I know, right?
Terrible.
So, hey, what's up, Colgano? Colgano's in chat. Anyway, yeah. So I don't get it. It's constant decisions and Switches out of stock, and just like
Nintendo's had a history of having supply issues.
Yeah,
this isn't new.
And I just don't understand why. I guess they can't know. They don't want to overproduce, but man, they just underproduce every time by a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty hard to get your hands on anything that says Nintendo on it when it's new, and even for some time afterwards, it's just silly. So I mean, they can do what they want, but it may not be the best thing. And I don't know. We'll see how the Switch goes. Of course, they're opening their doors to indie developers as well. I actually do know a couple games that'll be on that. I think Enter the Gungeon was one of them.
Well, but that's on hold apparently right now.
It's on hold. Ooh, I'll check that out.
But, not necessarily off the table, but not currently producing.
Anyway, we're moving on to Blizzard news here. Oh, wait, hold on. We have
a new player has entered the battle.
Someone wants to fight. It looks like, and they're muted. And no, they're not muted.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome aboard.
Matey.
Oh man, I still have that terrible Google picture from like 2008.
It's okay. You can turn on a webcam if you want, or you can remain a still image in the minds and hearts of everyone else.
I'll be a still image for the moment. What are we talking about?
And who do we have joining us today?
Am I supposed to have like a pithy
you can have a cool name, or you can use whatever name
I don't really have a stage name. You can just call me Jen right now.
That's Jen.
That's perfectly fine. Hello, Jen. Welcome aboard.
Jen in past lives imaginarily stole a bunch of shit from Ron and I.
I'm not so sure about me, but that's.
Oh, she stole a bunch of shit from me.
Yes.
Wait, which one were you?
Me?
Yeah.
Ronkley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure I successfully directly robbed Ronkley. I know I robbed one of his shops once. But
really? I remember. I remember.
I do remember his anti-theft personally was pretty annoying. So
I do remember one time where I had somebody. There were actually two incidents. There was one in Cyrene, and it wasn't my shop. It was the whatever they were called at the time, the Paladin shop, whatever.
Oh my god, I loved robbing the Paladin shop.
And apparently, someone was sitting in there for like. I don't know. It must have been a couple of minutes.
Just waiting for somebody to die.
Just waiting for something to happen, and I happened to notice it in the middle of what I was doing, and called someone in and got him killed. And then there was one that happened in Shalom, where I was. I think my shop was south of Fish, if I remember right. And yeah, it was right off Fish Street, and I saw somebody. I saw somebody. I saw the Prism coming in, and did the call for help, and had like 5 people teleport to me, and the person was like instantly dead. It was great. But I think that was a Ashtani that tried that one. But
nice.
But I don't.
Somebody in Cyrene issued me because they thought I hacked into their shop. And I got like I got a really friendly little poke from Lupus at one point, being like, "Hey, just to be clear, like key such and such is what you use to get into that shop, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, somebody thinks you're cheating.
Awesome. That's really funny.
That's the mark of a good thief.
Yes, it is. Indeed.
That was pretty funny.
Who was I'm trying to remember who the heck it was. I want to say, do you guys remember Nikojin?
Sort of.
Kind of. Oh, with any.
I don't remember much about him other than the fact that me and Kathy were doing a road trip and we actually met up with him in Phoenix back in like 2002.
Oh yeah, his character name is Japanese for cat person.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and he was a cool guy. He was a lot of fun to hang out with. So
Nice.
So he and Reeve should be friends.
So anyway, moving on here. Of course, we just got done talking about Nintendo canceling that Nintendo Classic.
Oh,
Did
why
you
did they
have
do
anything
that?
about
Like
that?
sometimes I feel like they do insane business decisions just to make people wonder and keep a brand mystique, but I think they're doing a really piss poor job of it if that's their aim.
Yeah, that one wasn't that one. I think everyone's questioning why are you doing this, and
Like everybody wanted one of those, and it's not like you make yourself more desirable by not by not satisfying that.
Well, they did say one of the representatives said it was meant to be like a holiday product and it wasn't really meant to go on. But it's like,
yeah, I saw that.
If
too.
I'm a businessman and I make something that's popular in the holiday, I'm gonna keep making it until people stop buying it.
Yeah, and
Right.
people definitely haven't stopped buying because you can't get one.
It's one thing to like limit in stock items and stuff. A lot of companies do that junk, but it's another entirely to just never make enough because reasons.
Indeed. And then moving on to Blizzard news here. I don't know. I know Dan plays Overwatch.
I have been playing some Overwatch.
I've been playing some
I
Uprising.
really need to get into that.
This is the first time. This is the first time I've played Overwatch in several months, and this Uprising event's a lot of fun.
Cool.
It's basically a
What, like-
PvE deal.
Cool.
It starts off, you have to defend a couple of positions, and then you do a typical defend the payload thing, and then you have to kill 4 targets at the end of King's Row, and it's really cool.
That sounds fun.
And it's got several challenging levels, and from what my wife's telling me, if you try Legendary, even players that know the game inside and out find the Legendary version of it too hard.
Nice.
It's super hard, and even easy mode. If you lose one person, that's it. You're not going to finish. You're going to get wiped out because you're going to get overwhelmed.
Wow.
So they did
It sounds pretty challenging though, in a good way.
Yeah, it's super challenging. It's a lot of fun. It's going on through, I believe, is it the end of the month?
I think so. And there's maybe the beginning of next month a little bit. And there's 2 modes. It's in the arcade group of games or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And at least last night, I don't know if this is always true, but my first game of both the regular one, because the regular one is Torbjorn, Reinhardt, Tracer, and Mercy is the team. It's like, that's your team. But there's also a version that you can choose any.
So it assigns your character roles.
Right, in like the standard, because the standard one's like the canonical story of what those 4 parts of the Overwatch did. But then the other ones, you can choose anyone, and each of those gave you a loot box on the first win. I don't know if that's always true, but
and then you get one for every 3 wins for your first 9 wins.
Well, that's true, always.
Yep, and Junkrat is overpowered.
Always.
That's what I keep hearing. Like I keep hearing that like people complain about Junkrat all the time.
Like I couldn't get a play of the game to save my life, and then I did Junkrat, did like 51% of my team's damage, and got to play the game. It was like this is easy mode. But
yeah,
he's
I'll
a lot of fun.
probably have to pop on PS4 or PSN, excuse me, and check that out. Really.
Yeah, definitely something to check out. It's a lot of fun. And then something near and dear to Dan's heart. You want to talk about the WoW token a little bit?
So I continue to regret that I didn't buy a crap ton of WoW tokens when they were 20,000 gold. When it first came out, I thought I was just going to liquidate all my gold into WoW tokens and be able to play WoW infinitely. And then I ended up quitting and like, whatever, I'll just keep the gold in case I want to come back and buy some gear. And then they made WoW tokens worth real money.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It went from 30,000 to 80,000 overnight. I bought a bunch at 80,000, bought Overwatch, and I've got about $100 worth of Blizzard money, and now they're almost at 100,000 gold.
That's insane.
Oh, jeez.
Which anybody who was using WoW tokens to finance their WoW playing, they're not going to have time to play WoW because they're going to spend all their time getting the money.
Gold, yeah.
Right,
They'll be
so
playing WoW.
They'll be playing Gold Goblin Simulator 2017, which is fun for some people. But it was a bit much.
Indeed. So
Okay, I actually have to bounce because my Old Republic guild is doing raid lockouts and they need me.
ooh.
We're trying to conquer all the planets and we're about 5 or 6 along. So
And what game's this for?
Old Republic.
Old
Star Wars Old
Oh, yeah,
Republic.
yeah, we got a few
I've
people
ended
down
up
there.
playing it for like a year and a half because my guild is really cool. So
Awesome. Well, good luck.
Oh, enjoy
But
and
I will
come back
hop on in
Saturday
the future.
nights.
I hope that was fun.
Saturday nights. Yeah,
We'll be here.
come on back.
Thanks, Dan.
Take care. And then Dan, what are you drinking?
So I had a bunch of wine with dinner, and I'm now empty. I had
You're
a bunch of
empty.
sake. So taking a break during our shitty minutes break. So we hello, am I frozen? No, Jen's frozen.
Nope, here you go.
She dropped, but she's not dropped.
That's strange. Okay,
hello.
bye.
Bye.
There she goes.
So anybody who watches Rick and Morty will know that Szechuan sauce is a big fucking deal. And so my company had a barbecue last week, and we have both a ribs award and a chicken award. So I made some Szechuan sauce for the chicken,
Uh-huh.
and I bought one of the recipes that I found was on Binging with Babish. If you guys have ever watched that YouTube channel, he makes like food that has been featured in shows and tries to recreate it as much as possible. And one of the Szechuan sauces that he made was a Reddit comment where a guy said he and his dad kind of like figured out a recipe that tasted a lot like the Szechuan sauce.
Right.
One of the ingredients was plum sake. And so I'd only used like 2 tablespoons of it. So I had an entire bottle of plum sake in my refrigerator, and I'm rickety wrecked, son.
Okay.
Lots of plum sake.
Yes. Got wrecked. Fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, you might have to go get a refill because we do have a little bit of league news today.
A little bit. I think I've had enough for tonight.
You
So.
think you've had enough? All right. So talk about the NALCS. Of course, last week we talked about FlyQuest and CLG. That was actually a pretty exciting series. CLG winning the first 2 games, but FlyQuest coming back and getting the reverse sweep. And they'll go on to face Team Solo Mid tomorrow. TSM. And in earlier action today, Cloud9 just destroyed Phoenix One. It wasn't even close. I think the third game was like 24 minutes, which, if you know anything about League, that's freaking fast. They just completely wrecked him. Game 2 was like 27 minutes. Just like Cloud9 looking pretty scary, and we may be looking at another TSM Cloud9 finals, which I'd love to see personally.
Trade skill mastery.
Trade skill mastery, yes. Team Solo Mid. But anyway, aside from that unless you have anything else, I think that does it for news.
I didn't even have time to go get a drink if I wanted one.
Yeah, well, you didn't want one, so you're
I
fine.
did. No, that's true.
It's fine. This is fine.
This
It's
is
fine because we're
everything is
moving-
fine.
It's fine. Nothing's on fire. We're moving on to.
Everything is on fire.
No, nothing's on fire. This is Showsound's favorite part of the show.
Nothing is on fire
Coming
because
up?
this is nothing on fire show.
This is nothing on fire show. Show is not on fire.
Show's only sometimes on fire.
Show's only sometimes on fire. Usually when he's repairing something.
Show is probably on fire more than we think he is.
Yes, that's probably true. But this is
show is on fire probably less than 50% of the time.
50 less than?
I think show is on fire slightly less than 50%.
Slightly
show
more than.
is not always on fire.
He's not always on. He's always on fire.
Show is always on
He's
fire.
always on fire. So this is his favorite part of the show. It's the second half of the show, and this is what we call names. It's one I can actually do. I feel comfortable doing that part.
I
because
think we should We should get a soundboard. Oh wait, we tried that.
We tried the soundboard and it actually stopped working, and now it's going to be deactivated in 10 days anyway.
Deactivated.
Yes.
Shows
It was
100% always on
on
fire 53% of the time that he is not.
I don't know what he just said, but sure. What have you been playing, man?
75% of the time, it works every time. I've been playing Diablo 3. I have a Lightning Wizard that's doing all right. I could do like level 50 rifts. I don't know if I just need to re-roll shit, get some ancients, level up my gems or something. I don't know. Like it's I feel like sometimes I can kill elites really quickly and sometimes I can't. So maybe my crit chance is really low, and maybe when I crit hit it's really good. So maybe I need to bring my crit up.
Right.
I'm probably gonna ask on Reddit for some people to review my gear and find out what's going on. But been playing some of that. Gonna play some Dragon Age, whatever the hell it is, Inquisition. Dragon Age
One
Inquisition.
of the Dragon Age games.
I told you I had a lot of sake. Dragon Age Inquisition. That's been fun, and that's really mostly been it this week. I played. So we talked a little bit last week about the multiplayer pack that was on Humble Bundle. So I tried out all those games because I'm having some friends over this week to play some games, and I wanted to see what all the games were. So I played a little bit of Tricky Towers, Ultimate Chicken Horse, Rampage Knights, Move or Die, and Helldivers and EN Alter. And I tried them all out, and those are pretty fun. You said Helldivers is fun?
Yeah.
It was a little difficult with my Steam controller because it was set up to have the movement be the left touchpad and the aiming be the right touchpad, and I really wanted the movement to be the left joystick instead of the touchpad. So I need to reconfigure that all up, and I think that'll make it a lot easier to play. Gokai Go wants to know how you join the casting. Leave a message on our Facebook group, which is 6GamingGG.
Yep.
fb.me/6GamingGG, I believe, and we'll add you to the podcasting group if you're interested. And he said that his friend is the voice of Bloodraven and Diablo, Succubus and WoW, Ivy and Soul Calibur, Zerg Queen, Tiamat, and Darksiders, and the list goes on. That is pretty impressive.
Yep.
Is your friend any like? So obviously they do voice acting for video games. Do they do any cartoon stuff? Like, are they friends with Tara Strong type stuff, or what's going on? Are they getting any other jobs? Because
it took me 5 seconds to Google Lainey Minella. Lainey Minella.
Lainey, that's cool.
But yeah, she's done some Legion work as well.
Yeah. Well, we're as I said a second ago, join up on our Facebook page and get your famous friend to join up on our Facebook page. Well, we'd love to have more people.
Absolutely.
Ron, what have you been playing?
Oh, geez. Well, other than Overwatch, we talked about that. I'm in the middle of a
Overwatch
run of Deathless in Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Ron's gonna get a world record again.
Again. This one's on Diamond, the latest character to drop on the DLC. Can move diagonally at the cost of not having spells or throwables or extra. There's no backpacks or anything, but it's a lot of fun. I've got 45 games under my belt so far. The previous record was 16. So I'm like
Diamond is a stripper name.
Diamond is a stripper name. That is true. And I don't know if Diamond is actually a stripper in Crypt of the Necrodancer. I hope not. That'd be a little weird. Just a little weird. But yeah, I've been playing that. And the other games that I've been playing this week, I played a whole bunch of different games on Wednesday. And the one that caught my eye from the Humble Freedom Bundle was Ellipsis.
No.
Ellipsis. Monster Loves You. Dejabon, man. What the fuck, Dejabon?
I watched you play that for a while.
Yeah. But Ellipsis is the best way I can put it is it's kind of like you know how you got the games where it's like don't touch a square or stuff like that.
Yep.
And you have these circles and they have dots in them, and when you pop the bubble, the dots will go flying out, and you have to catch all the dots. And you have to do it all within a certain amount of time without hitting this or that and the other thing. There's triggers that open walls and stuff like that. And I had a lot of fun with that game. I had trouble stopping myself from playing that because it was really good. I was doing it on my Wild Wednesday night, so I played like 6 different games. Shout out to Octodad Dadliest Catch. That game's fucking weird.
Yeah, it is.
That game is fucking weird.
Extra weird.
Is that a sequel?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess it could be, and I just never heard of the first one.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. I don't know. If you like strange games, Octodad is up there. So aside from that, I've been still dealing with Neon Excesses. I did the 5th station on Sunday. I'll be doing the 6th one tomorrow. And other than that, that's been about it. So that leads us to our next part of the show. This is Shosan's favorite part of the show. It is the 3rd half of the show. And this is a 6 gaming roundtable where we don't have a roundtable.
We each have tables. It's unlikely any of them are round.
None of them are round, but we call it the round table anyway, and I don't understand this.
I think Jonathan's table is round.
Is it?
Underneath his red light district lamp.
Yeah, so this is where we ask you guys a question about just general gaming stuff, and maybe we get an answer, maybe we don't. If Shosan's here, he demands an answer, but we're not quite as
We're way
Shosan.
more chill than that.
Way more chill. So
We'd
we're just
appreciate
gonna
an answer.
In fact, we have a chill question this week, and it's a very simple. What game are you most nostalgic about?
Yeah, we brought up Nintendo and how they had the classic console and people are buying it for nostalgia purposes, honestly, because a lot of those games are available on Virtual Console, but nothing quite plays like playing with that old little rectangular Nintendo controller. So what game are you most nostalgic about? And we can choose a couple. Myself, I think I always want to say Ocarina of Time. There's definitely something I didn't own an N64, so I actually spent a lot of time at a friend's house who owned one, and I'd go over a few times a week. And obviously as a whatever I was, 7th grader or something like that, I couldn't tell him not to play when I wasn't there. That'd be a shit thing to say, but like, he didn't play a lot when I wasn't around because it was like 4 or 5 of us that kind of went over. A few of them had 64s, the other ones didn't. So I saw most of the game, but not all of it. And then after he finished it, he'd let me borrow his Nintendo, and I hooked it up to my parents' TV and played all the way through the game. And I just remember it was just a lot of it when it was over the course of a month or whatever, because after school we all had to do homework and then we could hang out for like an hour. So like over the course of an entire month, he beat the game, and we all kind of like watched it and kind of took turns. And I just remember like our hearts were like pounding as he tried to get like the big Goron sword, and it was like counting down the seconds, and he was almost there, and like just stuff like that. Around that same time, we were playing Rush. Maybe there was some
Rush 2049.
It may have been. There was some racing game where like there was a level that was like it almost looked like a VR stage. There was like weird shapes coming out of the ground, and you could do flips and get points and whatever.
Yep, that was Rush.
A lot of that as well.
Yeah, that's not the arcade version of Rush either. The arcade version of Rush was just a simple racing game. It was very good though. That gives me nostalgia because I was number 1 in that game for a while, for about a month. So that was a pretty cool one. Go Kai Go is it's kind of funny he's mentioning a game from 2015 as being nostalgic, but the game he mentions is Who's Your Daddy? We've talked about this on the podcast before. This is the one where you're trying to do all your chores and make sure your kid doesn't die.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that one. But also Earthbound. I gotta give huge props to Earthbound, aka Mother. Great game there. For me, obviously, I mentioned Rush 2049. I talk about Descent so much that should be a given at this point.
Sure.
How about Miss Pac-Man?
Sure.
That was, I remember it at a particular roller rink, and I'd always be sure to play it at least once when I was there. And then it turned up at a couple other places that I was frequenting at the time, and I got to play that game a lot.
I mean, if we're going into arcade games, I remember, so my family used to take vacations into upstate New York, and we went to this place called the Nevele. Which
I'm sorry.
It was fun. It was fun for me. Like it was one of the old resorts, right? Like there are commercials from like the 50s from when this was a huge thing, and we used to go there, and there was an arcade, and I remember they had Mortal Kombat 2, Soul Calibur, the Spider-Man arcade game. They had the Super Mario Brothers arcade game.
Right. God, that was terrible.
Oh, it was.
I didn't like that.
It was very
so
hard to
much
control with a joystick and two buttons. But I just remember playing those games. I think Burger Time.
Oh God, yeah. I have a friend who has the world record at that. JD Lowe.
What was it called? Tap Room. What was the
Tapper? Yep.
Like, I mean, this was like late 80s, early 90s arcade games, and I have very good memories of, like, we would have dinner. It was like this dinner. There's this big. It was like, I mean, think about like a cruise ship basically, but it was on land, and you'd have dinner with your whole family. Extended family was all there, and then my dad would give me like $1 in quarters, and I'd be able to go down and play a couple of games, and then we'd play ping pong. They had ping pong tables and some mini golf or whatever, and it was a really good time. And then I recently found on YouTube a guy like basically broke in to the resort because it's been closed for years now.
Yeah,
and just like the plasters falling off the walls, and supposedly now though, like they're renovating it into a casino or something like that. But yeah, like that just, when you start talking about video games in a arcade, that was definitely nostalgia.
Yeah, they used to have an arcade out here. I think it was in, not San Ramon. I don't even remember the name of the guy by the name of, he goes by the moniker Video Bob. And he had a whole bunch of old games. We're talking like he had that Miss Pac-Man game. He had a couple old old pinball games. He had I can't remember the name. What was a vector graphic game where you're the ship that goes along the outside of like a circle.
That was in Ready Player
What the hell's
One.
the name of it? I can't think of the name of it. I feel bad. I feel like I should know the name of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Atari vector graphic game.
Run, help us out. Tempest.
It should Tempest. Thank you. Yeah, it should be like the first one. Yeah, I see it there. Tempest. Absolutely right. Yeah, stuff like that. Just had a lot of fun playing those old games that, I never played Tempest in the arcade. I played a version of it on the Mac, which wasn't the same thing. So it was totally different. But yeah, I mean, a lot of neat games out there. Probably some that I would remember if I went back to see them and try to play them again. But it's like if you ever download the multi-arcade machine emulator, MAME is for short, and get some of the ROMs for that. I mean, it's nostalgia in a box, essentially.
Yep.
It is so good what you can get out of that.
I'm really tempted to someday build an arcade cabinet with MAME on like a Raspberry Pi or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a thing to do. So a lot of good stuff.
Cole said that Burning Crusade and Wrath of Lich King was his golden days. That was, I'm sure, when we're talking about WoW, that's definitely a lot of people's nostalgia there.
That's true, yeah.
Gokaigo also said MVC and Virtual
Marvel
On.
vs. Capcom, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know what Virtual On is, but Marvel vs. Capcom
Yeah,
fighting games.
Yeah,
Those were really good.
Primal,
I didn't really get
Primal
into the fighting
Rage,
games. Primal Rage actually was the only one I got into.
There were a lot of them.
Not very much.
There were a lot of. There's like one that I remember had like. It was like maybe it was Samurai Showdown or something like that. There's like a big fat guy that could do like a spinning attack.
Right.
I think that was what it was called, but like there were a couple games that I felt like they were only at one arcade, and then I never saw them anywhere else.
And what was the one? Time Killers. Oh my God, do you remember Time Killers?
Kind of.
This was the one where you could dismember people. You could chop off their arms and legs and shit.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Are you serious?
That was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was insane. But yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of fighting games. Mario 3 was a big one for me back in the day.
Oh, certainly.
I mean, a lot of people probably can say that, but I have memories of going over to a friend's house and we'd be playing for hours. And I remember I tried to speedrun that game. I had a 45-minute win. I don't know what the record is.
A lot
I don't
less.
think it's 45 minutes. I don't think it's a lot less than that.
I think it's a lot less than that.
It might be under 10 minutes, but seriously, how do you get it in 3 minutes? Wow, I'll have to watch this. Apparently,
We'll watch
there's
it later.
3-minute win.
I'm sure it's like
and it's the former world record.
I'm sure it was like an any percent where they injected code by positioning or whatever.
No, that's Super Mario Land. They do that in.
No.
But yeah. And speaking of Super Nintendo, you want to talk about Super Nintendo? Tetris Attack, which wasn't really a Tetris game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! Me and my one friend would play back and forth. Cyrus is saying 10 minutes, any percent with no whirlwind. Or warpless, I guess that would be.
Warp whistle, yeah.
Yeah, warp whistle. So, yeah, that's pretty insane. So, anyway, I can't think of a whole lot more. I mean, we've gone through a whole bunch of games. Oh, no, wrong warp. Okay, credits glitch. Got it. But yeah,
my if show would know exactly what you're talking about. My knowledge of speedrunning is a little bit less.
Yeah, exactly. Shows.
It'll be like, oh yeah,
I
know that one for sure.
He'd probably be able to name the runner. I mean, he knows that stuff. So, but anyway, I think that's gonna just about do it for this week. Kind of a short show, but hey, it happens sometimes. Especially when
Ron and I pack a whole lot of good content into a shorter amount of time.
Exactly.
And it's funnier and better than other shows.
Your content per hour rate goes up when we don't have like Veg here or show here. When Veg is here, your gravity per hour goes up.
There's a lot of content with Veg.
There's a lot of mass with Veg.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that because we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, you can find out everything having to do with Six Gaming over at six.gg. And with that, I think, how about Dan? Say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And of course, I'm Ron Klee. We'll be back next week, 10 p.m. Eastern, I believe. It's 10 p.m. Central.
10 p.m. Central.
11 p.m. Eastern, and it's like 8 p.m. out here. So I've got all night to do whatever.
And it's like
I'm gonna do that.
9 p.m. Mountain.
9 p.m. Who the hell lives in Mountain Time?
I think like
other than the entire Descent community.
Tucson?
The Descent community lives in Mountain Time, but like no one else. No one else lives out there.
I don't know what time it is. Like, isn't there one that's right ahead of Eastern that only like a small amount of Canadians are on?
Yeah, that's Atlantic time, and that's like Nymphadora and can't think of his name. Ryan is his real name. Yeah, Morden. Yeah.
Morden.
Yeah, he played both names. Apparently, Coles lives in Mountain Time. What the hell is this all about?
Coles, you're not a real person.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up here. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Dan, take it away.
See you. Bye.